Your bone is 40 to 50% collagen protein. People supplement calcium and vitamin D without thinking it is made up of 40 to 50% collagen protein.
Protein.
You require protein, and then resistance exercise will positively affect your bone health and it will keep sarcopenia away. We are not vegetarians, we are not non-vegetarians. We are grainitarians.
Number one killer even in tribal communities in India is non-communicable diseases.
Yeah.
So it has become an all-pervasive thing. Hello and welcome to a very special episode of my YouTube channel, The Healthy Drive. Today I have with me an expert in nutrition, Mr. Shashikant Iyengar. Mr. Iyengar has not only worked in the healthcare industry for a very long time, for 35 years in the pharma industry, but he has been very passionate about low carb nutrition, and this passion has led him to not only reverse his own type 2 diabetes but also to pursue it by doing various nutrition degrees and certification. He is perhaps one of the most qualified nutritionists that I have ever come across, and his rich knowledge and certification has helped many people. Mr. Sashi, welcome to my YouTube channel, and it's a pleasure having with you today. So, would you like to introduce yourself, a few words about yourself?
Yeah. First of all, Dr. Tanmay, I'm very happy to meet you. We have been interacting in social media online, so personally meeting you was
so
something.
this is the first time we are meeting.
And welcome to Mumbai again, though you come yesterday, so it's welcome to Mumbai. And really very happy to meet you personally, and would like to thank our association for so long. Now, it so happens that I was in a pharma company for the last 35 years. I was in Abbott India for more than 32 years, and then in Pfizer India for the last almost 2 years.
Right.
So I have a rich experience in promoting anti-diabetics, cardiovascular drugs. So more than 3 decades were spent in promoting these medicines to doctor. Now it's happened that 7 years back I was diagnosed with diabetes, September 2015. And then I went to a doctor, got metformin, but then I was searching for a solution online. So I was Googling, of course, Dr. Google helped me. So I came across low carb, and I came across Anup Singh from D-Life India, so who was promoting low carb as a solution for diabetes without pills. And I joined D-Life Forum, and then I got a rich knowledge of low carb. And so this helped me reverse. So within 3 months, my HbA1c came down from 7.2 to 5.2.
That's amazing.
by low carb. And then my journey started. I started learning a lot about this. And then during this course, my certification, I thought that just reading about this may not be sufficient. So I thought I should take sort of a valid certifications for this. So then my journey for certification started. So I did diploma in low carb nutrition from D-Life India, my own community, and then followed by almost 6 or 7 certifications from Nutrition Network South Africa. And I also did advanced ketogenic nutrition from American Nutrition Association. And because of this, I was also recognized by the Society of Metabolic Health Practitioners USA, which is a wing of Low Carb USA.
Right.
So I am the only Indian who is accredited by SMHP, and not only this, I am listed in 6 international sites also as a low carb nutritionist, diet doctor, low carb nutrition practitioner, metabolic multiplier, the SMHP, Nutrition Network, and few others. So not only I am probably one of the most certified, but then I am also well recognized in the international community. And personally, I have been helping many people in my friend and close family people to reverse diabetes, as well as take care of obesity. So seeing all this success, I thought why I should not go to full-time actually professional nutrition consulting.
Absolutely.
So now I have exited pharma, and now I'm going into full-time nutrition consulting. So what happens is now shortly we are just on the way to launch Reclaim Health or Reclaim Health India, which will be a professional nutrition consulting with few of my close friends like Siddesh, Michelle, as well as Ashish. So we're going to launch it very shortly. and we'll be offering a lot of premium service and a lot of things which others do not do in India.
Right, right.
So
That is a wonderful introduction, and that makes you very uniquely qualified to deal with the lifestyle diseases in India. I just wanted your insight. What do you think has gone wrong with the health of the Indian population in general, and why these lifestyle diseases, why this has become the number one killer today? We were not such an unhealthy nation. In fact, I always say that we were quite a healthy nation 30 years back. So in this last 25-30 years, what has gone wrong? Why are we become so sick?
I think you know this very well, but however, let me
wanted
just
your
discuss on
insight,
this.
yeah.
This is multifactorial. We cannot say that there was one factor.
Right.
There are a lot of factors. The biggest thing would be the influx of this modern processed food,
Right.
which has been increasing in the last few decades. We have changed our style of cooking. Our grains have become hybridized.
Right.
The cooking fat or oil which we are using has
yeah.
changed drastically. Earlier, traditionally, we were using either butter, ghee, coconut oil, or the other traditional oils like sesame, cold pressed sesame oil, cold pressed groundnut oil, cold pressed mustard oil.
Right.
All these are changed to this industrial refined oil. So, and then earlier we used to have fasting and feasting, but now it is feasting throughout the day. And this chips, potato chips, which are deep fried in reused oil, rancid oil, they are available at 5 rupees per packet, 10 rupees per, which is very, very
And
cheap.
you find it even in remote villages.
Yeah. They have penetrated. In fact, the FMCGs have penetrated so much that sometime back Pharma was thinking how we will replicate this model of FMCG. So you can imagine.
What is FMCG for my?
That fast-moving consumer goods.
Right,
so they have penetrated small villages. So you'll find their goods available everywhere.
And by the way, it is a very misconception to think that these lifestyle diseases are only in urban areas.
Yeah.
Recently, there is a newspaper reports that even tribals,
the
number one killer even in tribal communities in India is non-communicable diseases.
Yeah.
So it has become an all-pervasive thing.
There are a few more things.
Okay.
Like we have become more sedentary.
Yes.
And our sleeps are disturbed now. We don't sleep adequately. Lack of sun exposure.
Absolutely.
And then in this last decades also, the high usage of this mobile phones and all,
blue
screen, all these things are disturbing us. So the whole circadian rhythm is disturbed. We are facing micronutrient deficiencies also. So everything actually culminates into a big disaster. So no wonder we are suffering. Now, how we can do is, it is going to be little very difficult, because to get back our traditional way is very, very difficult. Just in fact, today morning I just tweeted, to get back to traditional way of living is difficult, because we are living in this modern world where we are sedentary. We cannot let go of this mobile phone. But at least what we can do is minimize.
As I always say, we cannot become hunter-gatherers again.
We cannot become.
Simply because of the population. And
what we can do is, we can at least minimize the use of all this modern processed food, all this bakery item, eating out. All these food delivery apps are really spoiling our habits.
Absolutely.
Everything is available at a click of button. So get back to homemade foods and get off, or at least minimize all the processed food. And then what is happening is, if you see the other way, stop using the current oils which you are using and switch to good oils. Reduce grains as much as possible. I know for general people it is very difficult, but reduce as much as possible, and have a lot of protein emphasis.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about protein. What is the importance of protein in our diet?
See, Indians have very poor protein intake. The estimate is just 30 grams per day, and this is also not first class protein. Now, first class protein are those which are animal origin protein, all the non-veg, meat, fish, eggs, as well as those available from dairy like yogurt, paneer, cheese, or possibly whey in select cases. Now, this protein intake is very, very less.
We are a protein deficient nation.
And let me tell you, we keep fighting whether we are vegetarians or non-vegetarians, all these things going on. But let me tell you, Dr. Tanmoy, in this India, we are not vegetarians, we are not non-vegetarians. We are grainitarians.
Absolutely.
Each one of us consume lot of grains. So people keep shouting that we have to eat lot of meat, only then India will get rid of diabetes. But let me tell you, eating lot of meat may not solve. But let me tell you that in India, people eat meat with lot of grains. And people eat meat with lot of this rancid high omega-6 refined oils.
Refined oils,
So
right.
what, instead of addition, which may be helpful, what I require is, what I suggest, we will have to delete or reduce grain consumption and get off these oils. At the same time, increase protein, whatever possible form. So, so for vegetarians, it is paneer, it is cheese, it is dahi, which they can increase protein. For non-veg, it is open, everything is open. And for those people in middle, eggs becomes a very good source of first class protein, very, very cheap. It is available probably at rupees 6 or 7 rupees per egg.
Per egg,
So very, very cheap.
That's a lifesaver, I say, if you are eating eggs.
In fact, eggs are costing less than our average vada pav, samosa, kachori, which are available, all those deep.
And people have this misconception about eggs that, the yellow portion is high in cholesterol and should not take. This is, I think, a ripple down effect of the...
I think here, I would like to make a point back in somewhere in 2015, 2017. I think even USDA has agreed, USDA is United States Department of Agriculture, that dietary cholesterol does not significantly affect serum cholesterol. So that question is just out. It is just a myth which is just staying with us. That dietary cholesterol will increase serum cholesterol. No.
So there is no need to be afraid of eating the yellow of the eggs. That's what is trying to say.
In fact, yellow is nutrient dense. A, D, E, K. It contains even B complex, of course. A, B, D, E, K. Sorry, except C. It contains everything, lot of minerals which are useful for a lot of host of metabolic disease.
It's a first class protein and takes care of your nutrition, much of the protein requirement on a day. At 6 grams of protein per egg, medium size egg, or 7 grams in a good size egg, you can calculate your protein requirement in a day. It should be at least, I believe, 1 gram per kg of ideal body weight.
At least.
At least. Not 0.8 is just the recommended dietary allowance, which is just to prevent deficiencies. But since Indians are protein deficient, and after a certain age, whether you are a veg or a non-veg, we eat so less protein that it affects our not only the muscle health but also the bone health.
Also.
That's why Indians are so fragile after a particular age. And the only way to prevent it is to have an adequate amount of protein, which not only gives you satiety but good, and a little bit of exercise can help you to maintain your health. So that is what I think is a very, very important point. So what is the role of exercise, you think, vis-a-vis nutrition? Which is more important, and how can exercise help?
See, exercise is equally important. But then when I say that for the health, I apply what is called as the Pareto factor. The Pareto factor is...
Pareto, the 80-20 factor.
80-20. So nutrition is 20%, which will impact 80% of your health. Whereas all the other factors are actually 80%, which will impact 20%. However, exercise will help us keep an optimal health, build up our lean body mass, make us more insulin sensitive, and probably it is one factor which is going to affect our bone health in a very significant manner.
In the long run.
Exercise like resistance
training
are very important for bone health in this population where at the age of 55 or 60, people think that being osteopenic or osteoporosis is very normal. Unfortunately.
Very unfortunate. Because
so the bone health, let me tell you what will affect your bone health positively are protein, because your bone is 40 to 50% collagen protein. No one thinks, people supplement calcium and vitamin D without thinking it is made of 40 to 50% collagen protein. You require protein, and then resistance exercise will positively affect your bone health and it will keep sarcopenia away. Sarcopenia is nothing but loss of muscle.
And
so
which
these
affects
two are very important. Variety of
majority of the Indian people. And sarcopenia is something which is not recognized as such, and it is not addressed to when treating with diseases, and this is what leads to what is known as fragility. Fragile index we calculate, and this fragility leads to if something happens, people are not just falling down from the chair and breaking their bones, which is an absolute tragedy. So this osteopenia, sarcopenia, all these things can be prevented by adequate protein intake, and number 2, resistance exercise. But for those who are overweight and want to lose weight, I would also like to add that exercise has all these benefits, but it will not help you lose weight until your nutrition is right. Am I correct?
100%.
So-
I think this everyone recognizes this
Yeah.
because I see like whenever I go for morning walk in Borivali National Park, I still see those guys I have seen 2-3 years back. They are still as obese.
Yeah,
Either they are running or walking.
Huffing or puffing, and but not losing the weight.
Yeah, and then we have seen many cases in our own society, in our own circles. We have seen that people have been exercising for quite long. Still, they have huge tummy, huge build. So probably they are not focusing on nutrition.
Yeah, actually, and wherever you go for advice, the mainstream advice is eat less and exercise more. Both of which does not work.
Neither.
You eat less, you feel more hungry, and you exercise. And the problem is, they put the blame on the person who is suffering from obesity.
That always happens.
You make them feel guilty, and they think that perhaps I have eaten more, I have not exercised enough. But the fact is, this is not based on the true understanding of obesity.
Yes.
So once we understand why we gain weight, it is because of the inflammation which is going on in the body due to this lifestyle and due to the food that we eat. That is addressed, then weight loss becomes easy.
That is true.
So, so how has been your experience in treating? I believe you are practicing and treating patients with lifestyle diseases, reversing type 2 diabetes successfully. So, what has been your experience? How effective is low carb nutrition or low carbohydrate diet in treating obesity and type 2 diabetes?
See, my expertise lies in actually reversing diabetes.
Yes.
So obesity
let us
also
talk about reversing diabetes.
Yeah. So in short, obesity also, yes, it is very effective because most of the obese patients are highly insulin resistant.
Right.
So it works. But nevertheless, when it comes to type 2 diabetes, the only solution has to be a low carbohydrate diet, because it is well recognized that carbohydrate has the highest blood sugar raising capacity.
Right.
The moment you reduce carbohydrate and increase protein and fat, we automatically can reverse our high blood sugar to a lower level, lower acceptable normal level, and we can get all the people out of medication. That is, if they have an intrinsic capacity, insulin secreting capacity. If people have been there for decades, then we'll have to work out and they may require small medication. However, all type 2 diabetics on insulin, it is strong possibility that we can remove them from insulin. And I have helped people get off insulin within a matter of few days, 2, 3, 4 days.
That's amazing, isn't it? They have been on insulin for such a long time, and you are just
matter of the first meal itself will reduce blood sugar. Of course, this has to be done in conjunction of a medical practitioner.
Yes. Never do it on your own, I would say. Never try to get off diabetes medicines on your own.
So whenever I do this, I take the help of a medical practitioner who will decide how the dosage has to be adjusted. This should not be done at home. It is like any of those stunts which they say. They should not be done
exactly
by an
like
individual.
the stunts in the movies.
Anyone wants to reverse diabetes, get off insulin, type 2 diabetes of insulin, they have to take the help of a low carb nutritionist and a doctor. This team has to be there. Unless these are there, we cannot do. Type 1 diabetics will require insulin.
Absolutely.
But
that is a different
But if
game
they switch to low carbohydrate, high protein diet, then they can reduce their insulin to a good amount.
Even type 1.
Yeah, even type 1.
Even type 1. Yes.
Now, many of us may not know this. Let me tell you that American Diabetes Association, there was a consensus report back in 2019 along with EASD. They have actually said that low carb and very low carb diet can be an option for type 2 diabetics.
Yes,
it is there still in MNT, Medical Nutrition Guideline, even today. Diabetes Canada back in 2020 have also recommended LCD and very low LCD, low CHO and very low CHO for type 2 and even for type 1. Canada has recommended even for type 1 diabetics. Obesity Medicine Association USA, in their guidelines, they have mentioned ketogenic diet as one of the options.
So it is very much in the mainstream.
It is there in the mainstream. It is just that we do not know, or we have not read those guidelines. It is either one, or we are ignoring it for various reasons.
Yeah, that is true. But as I always say, giving it in the guideline and translating into practice, there is a lot of gap between the cup and the lip, I would say. So, just like the USDA guideline which said dietary cholesterol does not related to, but that is not translated into practice.
That is true.
So here also, it is a good thing that it has come in the guidelines that type 2 diabetes, there is a viable option of leading a drug-free life. But to translate into practice from practitioners, I don't know when it will come. So all we can do is make people aware that no one should unnecessarily suffer from type 2 diabetes.
That is true.
So I think that is, we are very clear on that science. The science is there to back you on that fact that you should not suffer, you can live a drug free life. And another very important thing I would like to tell the viewers is, do not believe that drugs can cure diabetes. It cannot. But when you take a medicine and reduce the blood sugar, where does the sugar go? I always ask this. Where does the sugar go? The sugar goes away from the blood, but it goes to the end organs and causes the damage. That is why all the long-term studies have shown, however tight the glycemic control is, the end organ damage remains.
That is true.
So medicines are not the answer.
In fact, with the more medicine we use, the more damage it is done.
Yeah, more damage it is done with the passing years.
I have seen the older studies like Accord study,
where
they improve the blood sugar with high doses and then they'll end up in some of the other issues.
Some more issues. So medicine is not the answer. The only answer is a lifestyle change, and which includes nutrition. So
can I add a point in this medicine?
Sure.
See, like we start with one medication.
And
then we keep on increasing dose. After some time, second medication, third medication. By the time people are 10 to 15 years of diabetes, they have 4 or 5 medications, 7 to 8 pills a day. Ultimately, after 2 decades, they will end up with insulin. Now, I have seen my earlier generation, like my father, being controlled with glibenclamide or metformin for many years. But today, with the influx of processed food and the kind of lifestyle we have, the blood sugar dysregulation is very fast even with medication. So people end up with multiple medication, multiple complications. So what we need to do is, we'll have to switch to low carb nutrition, which will help us get off all this medication. It may not be very easy to do, but there's a possibility. So I always say that low carb nutrition is an option for patients who don't want to take medication, who wants to stay healthy. Now it is 8th year that I am a type 2 diabetic. I am not a diabetic, but I am a type 2 diabetic in remission. I don't even take metformin. And I've reversed many of my other issues like osteoarthritis in my left, though it is an early stage, not an advanced stage. So that is, I don't have it is there, I don't feel the pain. Tendinitis, frozen shoulder, GERD, acidity, daytime sleepiness, lot of other factors I have actually resolved, and I can do fasting if I want. Like a typical diabetic, the fasting may not be recommended because blood sugar will go down. But so that is not the case with me. So I can do fasting if I want. So most of my Sundays are usually fasting. So like today also, when I came to meet you, nothing more than a couple of black coffees, and maybe I'll have dinner at night or maybe tomorrow morning.
So the impression which I am getting and I want to convey is that basically low carbohydrate nutrition heals the body from inside.
That is true.
And so that everything falls into place.
Visceral fat is burnt like anything.
Yeah.
So I have known cases where people have lost 9 inches of hip and waist.
Right.
A lot of visceral fat gets burnt. Visceral fat, I think you can explain better.
Yeah, I know. It is the fat around the abdominal organs which is actually more harmful than the fat outside.
Yeah.
And that fat actually leads to insulin resistance, which can lead to diabetes and other problems. But I am coming to another problem, is that we are advising low carbohydrate nutrition. But unfortunately, or ironically, our diet is 80% carbohydrates.
Yeah.
So how do you deal with that? And don't forget the fact that carbohydrate is a non-essential nutrient. Amongst the 3 macronutrients, carbohydrate, protein and fat, we actually don't need carbohydrate. But traditionally what has happened is we have been eating carbohydrates a lot. It is only recently that various reasons Shashi mentioned that it has become a kind of a poison. So how do we address this? We are a carbohydrate eating nation, and so how to deal with this?
See, it is the concept little new, and possibly it may appear to be little difficult, but many of us are practicing it.
Yes.
See, this is not a zero carbohydrate diet.
No.
It's a low carbohydrate. Though there is one spectrum called carnivore diet where they take almost zero carb, but that is another end of spectrum.
Yeah.
So my end of spectrum is where we keep carbohydrate between 30 grams per day to even 100, 120 also, depending upon the metabolic damage. So what we need to do is we'll have to reduce our grain consumption.
Yeah,
To either bare minimum or get off, and get our carbohydrates from non-starchy vegetables. Add a lot of fatty protein food. So this is, I will not say fat or protein, I will say one single macro, fatty protein.
Fatty protein.
Which
And fat and protein come together in nature.
Now, important point here. All animal origin protein comes attached with fat.
Yes.
In nature, and in all vegetable protein comes attached with carbohydrate. So the more we shift to animal origin protein, the better it will be. Meat, fish, eggs,
Yes.
and then paneer, and then yogurt, and then cheese. If we keep revolving around these foods, make these foods as a primary target in each meal,
Right.
it is very easy. Secondly, people eat 3 major meals and 2 snacks. Diabetics, they have a perpetual vicious cycle of hunger.
Yeah.
They will keep taking carbohydrate hunger. Every 2 hours they keep eating. But when you go to low carb, many people eat only 2 meals a day. I eat only 2 meals a day. So while there are various protocols, what protocol has suited me is having breakfast and then having dinner, and maybe some black tea, black coffee in between. So that's what I do. It has suited me perfectly well.
And your diabetes is in remission for last 8 years.
Yeah, 7 years.
7 years. So it's amazing.
There was only once I saw 7.2, that is at my diagnosis. After that, the maximum HbA1c I have seen is 5.2. Usually it revolves around 5. If I'm little more strict with carbohydrate, then 4.7 to 4.9. But if I'm little lenient, and then it may go to 5, 5.1 max. But usually 5 is what. So what happens is, you shift to low carbohydrate, high fatty protein foods, and then you can shift to 2 meals a day. So that takes the hassle of cooking. And even people will complain about the cost. But let me tell you that if you eat 2 times a day, is definitely cheaper than eating 6 times a day.
Absolutely. And if you can come off medications, you save the cost of medicine.
Huge medicines, huge modern day medicine. A lot of patented medicines are there. You have to spend a lot of money, and it makes you miserable also. And then you are on a perpetual, a fear of low blood,
hypoglycemia, yes.
So that fear goes away.
So amazing. I think your example is so inspiring that I hope that people who are watching will take inspiration from this. There's number one, yes, type 2 diabetes can be reversed. Number 2, and it can be reversed very safely. But as we said, advised, that should not be done on their own. So we are on a platform where you can get help, and Mr. Shashikant Iyengar is very much available on social media, and I will leave the links below to his social media where he can be contacted. So what is the best way to contact you?
I am there in Twitter.
Okay.
Shashi Iyengar. I am there in Instagram.
Yeah.
So these are the 2 social medias where I am actively promoting low carb.
Okay.
As a healthy approach. I am there in Facebook, but nevertheless the profile has to change. I am there in LinkedIn, profile has to change. But for low carb, yes. For Twitter and Instagram are 2 platforms where I am there.
Okay. So it has been wonderful talking with you. This is the first time, and we will talk again. Wonderful.
Thanks, Dr. Tanmoy, and thank you. Really, it's an honor for me to appear in your YouTube channel. Thank you very much. I cannot thank you enough.
So no. There is no to thank me. It is a pleasure, and it's very rare in our country to meet such a certified expert nutritionist. I hope this low carbohydrate message spreads, and whatever you want to ask, or whatever you have questions you have, please mention them in the space below, and we will get back and answer those questions. And meanwhile, the social media handles of Mr. Shashikant Iyengar and mine also are there. So thank you very much for
thank you, doctor.
Tata.